American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purpose, and this is American Football in Finland. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Coach Q. What's going on, Q?
Yes, sir. We ready for it.
Man, we ready to have a real good one today. The AFF podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcast. You can see us visually here on YouTube, wherever you listen or watch. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and like us. Anyone who listens but doesn't hit that button, we know you're a hater, but that's cool. We're going to get home with the show anyways. All right, let's get right into it. We're going to get into the playoff matchups. First up, we got the number 1 seeded Roosters will host the number 4 seeded Butchers. The Roosters won both regular season matchups between the two teams by scores of 28-7 and 21-14. So let's take a look at both teams before this matchup and start with the Roosters. And Q, that's your squad. So first thing I'm going to ask you is who are some of the players to watch, and why should people kind of be looking for these guys in this game? We'll try to keep it positive on the teams.
Yeah. Well, the Roosters have actually a lot of players that you can watch, but I'll just name a few. I'm not going to butcher their last names, so I'm just going to say the first names. You're starting with the D-line. You got Malik, James Perrin, big, meaty guys in the middle of the D-line. You got Matthew Burnett.
I think it's Barrett.
Barrett. My bad, Matthew. I'm sorry, Matthew Barrett. Julian Bell, Ambro Johansson, Sam Vahimäki, Aki, and also we haven't talked about him that much this year, and I'm going to give him his flowers now, and that's DC Mike Wood. He's had a real good, consistent defense all year, and they've got to this point a lot because of where their defense have played all year. So had to throw Mike Wood in there. So shout out to Coach. That's just a few of the names. I mean, they're loaded across. I didn't name Ethan Greenfield because everybody already knows him. So those is a few names to throw out there to watch. They're loaded. They have a loaded roster. Olin, I forgot to throw him in there. And I threw Olin in because he's like the Swiss Army knife for the Roosters. You'll see him at DB. You can see him at receiver if they need it, running back, field goal kicker, punt kicker, all of the places that you would want a guy like him. So that's just a few names, and I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, that works. Just wanted to throw out some names and see who's out there. So let's get a little bit into how they can actually win this matchup playing against the Butchers. What are some things you think they can do to get a win for sure in this game?
I think first they need to control the clock, control how much the Butchers get the ball and the opportunities that they get. For 2, no turnovers. Cannot get any turnovers. For 1, Zach Wright is a pick 6 magnet. Don't want to get turnovers in that secondary because they can't hurt you in returns. The next one, I think they need to hit big early offensively. They hit big early offensively. You force the Butchers to now forcefully throw the ball and try to keep up and catch up. And if they can do that, I think they have a real good chance. Brandon Gwinner hasn't really been the Brandon Gwinner that we know. So I would be confident if he had to throw the ball 30 to 40 times that we can make some plays on his passes. He hasn't been hitting with his guys on the regular. So I think that'll be big for the Roosters. If they can hit big early offensively and force the Butchers to throw the ball more than they would like to, they'll have a real good chance. Next, don't let the Butchers get in a rhythm. They can't let the Butchers get in a rhythm. If they do that, they'll find themselves in a shootout. And once the Butchers get any amount of momentum, it's hard to beat them. And so I think that's another big one. They have to be aggressive on defense. I think you send pressure at Brandon Gwinner, get him antsy early in the game. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to try, he's going to get out of the pocket. He's going to try to make plays happen. And I think that you got to capitalize on those. I'll leave it right there for those.
Yeah, okay. Those are all really good. It sounds like they got a very good chance to win this game. I'm trying to be, objective here. But if you were to go the opposite side and say, I know we wrote it down as like weakest link, but more accurately, what would hinder the Roosters themselves from winning this game? Like, what could they do poorly that might hurt them in this game?
I think give up the big plays on the outside. I think that's where you lose this game. If the Butchers are able to hit big, deep, Lucas Erla, Nottingham, like if he gets those guys going on the outside, it could be trouble for the Roosters. They haven't had the best success at the corner position, so I do believe the Butchers will try to attack their corners, and rightfully so, they should, because I think they're the weakest link of the defense right now. So the Roosters have to come out with some kind of scheme that keeps their safeties over the top of these corners and help them out when they can, and don't put them in situations where they're one-on-one in bad situations. So right now, I would say probably the corners is the weakest link.
All right. What about going into like an X factor for the Roosters? Like, what can they do that kind of sets them apart that could change this game? If it was, say, all knotted up at some point, what would you say in that aspect, the X factor for them?
Well, I got an X factor is mainly the experience of being in these type of games. That's their X factor. Their head coach has been in numerous playoff games. Their defense coordinator has been in numerous playoff games, and they've had success. And I think sometimes when you have coaches like that who've been in these games, they know how to prepare the team. They know how to keep the team calm in certain situations. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that help them. That can be an X factor, knowing that in any situation that your coaches are going to make the best decisions to put you in a position to win. And I think the Roosters have the advantage of that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Damn it. I'm trying not to be favoritism towards the red team, but it don't really look like there's not much they're not gonna be able to do in this game. But as true to ourselves, we're gonna go to the opposite side as well, and I'm gonna talk about the Butchers. Before I even start, pretty much the opposite of everything you said is kind of true for the Butchers. Like when you were saying what would be good for the Roosters, that's what I was thinking would be bad for the Butchers, etc. But let me start off with some players to watch. Obviously, for the Butchers, you got to check out the quarterback, Brandon Gwinner, the running back, Mickey J. They have a slew. Would that be the right word? A slew of receivers. When you talk about Lucas Erla, Mika Sepinen, Adam Cofield, Christian Nottingham, I had to name them all because you never know which one is going to be the one that stands out. So you kind of got to watch all of them. And then on the defensive side, Zach Wright is a ball hawk. Timmy Nwika is leading the league in almost every defensive category. And then they kind of have their defensive specialist and Rod Sylvester at cornerback or safety. He basically just guards the top receiver on the other team. And then up front, you have big defensive lineman Jesse Vuoksentura. Man, I'm trying to say his last name. I like the way it's spelled. That's why I keep trying to say it. It kind of reminds me of Ace Ventura, right? Mm-hmm. That's like the word Vuoksentura. But anyways, the Butchers are loaded. And a really interesting thing is when you look at it like on paper, they match up with anybody. And even in this game, they match up across the board. Like they have the talent. It's about them being able to utilize it in this one game. So when I go to their keys to win, it's more about their offense and their defense. Their offense is the one thing we've said it all year. They're a little inconsistent, so we've seen it play great and then we've seen play not so good. They have to be aggressive on the offensive play calling. We were talking about in the group chat earlier, they played their last game of the season. When the other team was putting in their backups, they didn't change their game plan. They didn't attack the second string of that team, and that's something they can't afford to do in this type of game. They can't not take advantage when they have the advantage in this game because these two teams are so evenly matched on paper. And then again, staying ahead of the sticks, not getting into third and long or second and long situations where the other team kind of knows what your plays are. Outside of them doing a running back screen, you kind of know what it's going to be. And even that is kind of predictable for them. You kind of call those out a little bit. Now, also, the Butchers need to win their matchups. When those receivers, when they have a one-on-one opportunity against those outside corners from the Roosters, they need to win. They need to make that count. There can't be any drop passes. There can't be any errant throws. There can't be any miscommunication of timing. Like, every time they have those opportunities, they have to take advantage of it to win this game. And then also utilizing the best matchup advantage you have in running back Mickey J. I believe wholeheartedly that that guy is just too talented to be guarded. And if you utilize him correctly, you're always in a position of advantage. And if the Butchers can utilize him properly throughout the game, they'll find themselves on top at the end of this one. Defensively, they just need to stop the run and create turnovers. If they can make the Roosters one-dimensional, which I don't think anybody has done that all year, so it's not that easy to do. But if you can make them one-dimensional, make them a team that you know they're going to pass, you know when they're going to pass, and then when they do get into those situations, you have guys like Zach Wright, Timmy Nuika, Ross Sylvester who can make plays on the ball, you got a chance to really pull an upset here that it's in the realm of possibility. And then if I want to go for the weakest link for this team, I really, it's hard. I wouldn't say like a person, but the way that this team would lose a game is just if they weren't in chemistry on the offense. I think defensively, they're going to always play to a high enough level to win. But offensively, sometimes the chemistry gets messed up. The game flow is a little off, and you could tell like things aren't hitting how they're supposed to. If that happens, this isn't a team that's going to, let you figure it out by quarter 3 or 4. They'll find themselves very far behind and not really with a chance. So they have to start off strong and continue to develop through the game. You don't necessarily have to score right out the gate or put up 100 points, but you need to be forcing that Roosters defense to think and adjust. Mm-hmm. Don't let them get comfortable in what they're doing, because when they get comfortable, that's when Mike Wood kind of gets a little exotic and starts doing things that you wish that he wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. And not in a good way, not in a good way for the offense.
Yeah.
So you don't want him, dialing up these blitzes because they're so comfortable in being able to guard you with their front seven that they don't necessarily need to do anything complicated. You want him a little bit conservative. And the only way to do that is to be consistent. And they really have to be connected offensively between all those key players I named earlier so they can be consistent. I think I put X Factor on here. I think it's very easy to know the X Factor for the Butchers as Zach Wright and his ability to score once he gets the ball. He's great at turnovers. I think he led the league again this year in interceptions after setting a record last year. And what he does better than anybody is when he gets the ball, he's trying to score points. And 3-4 times this year, I think he's had a pick six. About half his interceptions go the other way. And he's also a good returner, so that's possible as well. We've seen him return kicks to the house. I think last year he did. I don't think he has one this year. But he's a punt returner, kick returner, and he gets interceptions. And normally when he gets the ball in his hands, he's very close to scoring every time. If he's able to pull off a touchdown in this game, that's a 14-point swing. Mm-hmm. That's stopping a score and giving your team a score. That's something that could be just the momentum this team needs to win. So I think that he gives them a really good chance to win in that aspect. I think we're going to talk about comparing the teams when we actually do the picks instead of now. But I will open it up now to what are your initial, thoughts on these two teams playing against each other after the season just concluded?
I think the Roosters wanted this game. I think the Roosters wanted to play the Butchers. I mean, I would if the way they've been playing all year, just inconsistent game to game. You don't know which team is going to come out. I would rather play a team like that. But also, it could backfire too, because the Butchers could show up like the Butchers that we are used to in the past. So, but as far as I know, the Roosters have been owning this game. We won this game in 2017. We played the Butchers in the first round. So There's some history with the back and forth, but this game could be exciting or it could be also unexciting. And I know that's easy to say, but with the rosters that both teams have, um, and just with the inconsistent play that the Butchers have, it's hard to say like that it's going to be this type of game because the Butchers could just really show up for this playoff game and look like a totally different team. But we know what we're going to get from the Roosters for the most part. You're going to get a lot of Ethan Greenfield. Ambrose is gonna put the ball up. He's not going to take too many chances. He's not going to throw in triple coverage like he used to do. He's not going to throw in double coverage. He's going to take what the defense gives him. And they've been doing a good job of that all year. I think main thing is the defensive line for the Roosters have to be very, very active, and they have to be effective. And if they're doing that and they're getting Brandon Gwynner out of that pocket, it's going to be a long day for their offense because when he's moving around anxiously, he doesn't work well like that. It's just not a good thing for any quarterback. Pat Mahomes is like the only quarterback in the world that actually capitalizes off of running out of the pocket. And maybe Lamar Jackson, but that's the NFL. But we keep it on the international level. Brandon Gwynner can hurt you, running the ball. So I would take that chance over him actually running against my defense. But Lucas Erla, he's going to have a big game if they want to have a chance of winning this game. Cofield, he's going to have a big game at the receiver position. There's just certain people in this game that have to have a big game in order for them to beat the Roosters because the Roosters are not going to give you too many chances to win this game. They smell blood right now. I'm sure the Butchers are hype about this game, but the way that they've been playing lately, I'm not confident that they can keep up with the Roosters right now. I'm just not confident about it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into like the football aspect of it, honestly, because you said it all, and that's what the game is about: is can the Butchers play up to the level to beat the Roosters? But what I do want to talk about is this is the rivalry. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of talk about. Okay, I'm just gonna say it, the Botnia Bowl and whatever the hell that is. That's cool and all, but that's not like a rival. The Butchers and the Roosters, this day one. This is the early, 1979 teams? These
for a long time.
Yeah, and Porvoo, that's a 45-minute ride. That's up the road. And historically, look at these teams. These are the two teams that have had like dynasties. Mm-hmm. I mean, we still say the Steelers had a dynasty, but them 3-year runs, I guess. I mean, whatever. This is the matchup. If you look at it historically, like these two teams, the Butchers have always wanted to beat the Roosters. And vice versa before the Roosters got good. I know that's a long time. A lot of people don't act like that didn't even exist. But there was a long run where Roosters couldn't beat the Butchers. And once they started beating the Butchers, you could see that when they play that team, those old heads start showing up from the Roosters days and start saying things. And you see them online, you see them at the game. And that's what this game is again. Is it going to be in Velodrome? I think so. So it's in Helsinki. That means everybody's going. If it was in Porvoo, some people in Helsinki might not go. But if it's in Helsinki, everybody from Porvoo is coming. Everybody from Helsinki is coming. Everybody from the other Helsinki teams are coming to watch. And this is the rivalry. Like, this is two of the most – actually, these are the two most successful teams in Maple League history playing each other. And I know you said earlier that this is the matchup the Roosters wanted. I would go as far to say that this is the matchup the Butchers wanted. For the Butchers, getting to the Maple Bowl obviously is one step to winning it. But if you look at all the teams, the Roosters are the team that you got to beat, right? Yeah. And for them, why wait until it's a championship when there's way more, outside factors going on? Why not go at them right now, beat the Roosters, and have that feeling of, well, if we beat them, we know we can beat anybody now. Mm-hmm. So now we for sure know we're going back to it. And if you lose this game, you weren't good enough to win the Maple Bowl because you assuming that they're going to win it. So it's a much better matchup for them because I think it's one of those matchups that they know that they have to play their best. We said this in the last week of the season about the Butchers, and I thought it was true, but I guess I was wrong, saying that they had to play well in that game to feel good going into the playoffs. I don't think they played well, but I also think that this is a completely different game because it is the playoffs. You know, me and you both understand sometimes it's a mindset thing, but TIF, you got to actually be in the playoffs to play like it's playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously you don't want to say, hey, flip a switch is easy to do, but people do play different when the stakes are higher. And I think the Butchers, for them, this makes the stakes as high as it can get. Like, it still is a win or go home situation. And playing against the Roosters gives you the confidence. Because say they were to play against one of the other two teams, no disrespect to those two teams, they would still be thinking, even if they won that game, who do we play next? And now we have to get up again. And we're still the underdog. We still feel like we have to play outside of ourselves. This game, they know if they play to their capabilities and get a win out of here, then legitimately they're a contender and not a pretender. There's no excuses anybody would give to why they shouldn't be the best team. And that's what – yeah, and that's –
they beat the Roosters, they'll be favorite.
Yeah, and again, last year they weren't the favorite, and that's how they ended up getting the win. I hate to just keep talking about last year, but maybe this is who they are. They want to be an underdog. Well, this is it. This is your underdog moment, Butchers, and I think that they really feel like this is their type of moment. This is more in line with where they would want to be in the playoff picture. And obviously they want to prove some people wrong, but I do think that, on paper, both of these teams go toe-to-toe. It's going to come down to a lot. But, yeah, we'll get into the other matchup. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. Hey there, fans of American football in Finland. Want to show some love and support to your favorite podcast? For just €3, you can buy us a cup of coffee and help keep our podcast running strong. But why stop at one cup? Why not support each host with a cup? Visit buymeacoffee.com and show your support today. Cheers to keeping the conversation going. The other matchup we have is the number 2 seeded Steelers will host the number 3 seeded Crocodiles. And these two teams split their in-season series, with the Steelers winning the first matchup 27-10, and the Crocs winning the second one 31-28 when they took out quarterback Josh Taylor in the process. So let's talk about both teams, and we'll start with the Steelers. Q, what are your thoughts on who we should watch from this team?
All right. Well, you got the household names. You got Carlton Marshall. You got Jamarcus Henderson. You got Austin Brock. Ray Campy. You got Jalen Treagle now. Also, Mr. Tuca, number 23, Mr. Tuca. Kosti. The old lineman, Otto. The old school vet, Yanni Lindquist. And number 72, Basil Weber. They got a lot of guys who are consistent, who have been consistent throughout all of the quarterback change that the Steelers went through defensively. We haven't talked about Carlton Marshall that much lately, but I think he will have a big presence in this game. I know we'll talk about that later on, but those names right there are the names that you've been hearing all year. And I think you'll still hear them in this game too. These are the guys that have to make plays, though. These are the guys who have to set the tone in this game. And one thing I think about winning the championships is you have to practice winning ways. You have to practice winning habits. And a lot of these guys, Austin Brock, this guy is a firecracker. You know what I'm saying? He's a firecracker. And guys like him in games like this, you have to get the ball to him. He is going to step up to the moment, and he's going to take your team to that next level. So guys like him, you got to give him the ball. Jamarcus Henderson, we need that same energy that we seen against the first game y'all played the Roosters. We need that same type of energy. This is the playoffs now. You don't get a second chance at this. You have to make every play that you possibly can. And you have the imports. I feel like the imports now in these games, they have to realize that they have to go up a notch. Mm-hmm. They have to go up the notch. You have to be undeniably good in these games if you want to have a chance, because it don't stop in this game. But what you want to do is you want to come out there and just set the tempo. And I think Scorpio, with those names that I just mentioned, it's possible that they can do it.
Shout out to Yanni Lindquist, man. He was supposed to be retired. He was supposed to be retired this year. I think he took like a position on the board with them, and of course, he still showed up and played. But he's been playing really good all year. I mean, I know we don't like talk about him specifically, and just to add on a little bit about the Steelers, it's hard to talk about their defensive line because they're running like a 3-4 set, which means they're all getting double teamed up front, and it's just hard to be successful in that situation. But they're also very good against the run. And they create pressure with basically a 4-man front. They basically send one linebacker every time. And Yanni Lindquist has been kind of playing the nose sometimes. And just holding that gap is very difficult. And I've noticed he's done a really good job of it. I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be at least 40, right?
Yeah, he got to be because he's been playing since I was playing.
Yeah, he's out there, though. He's working, though.
He's doing his thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I had to throw his name out there. I know we hadn't talked about him all season, but it's playoffs now. We're watching you 9-9. I'm glad he went back to 9-9. Last year, doing up 82, and he thought he was going to be a tight end. That was you got to be you. You got to be you. But getting back to the game with these guys, obviously, this is one of those games where, again, just like the previous matchup, it's evenly matched.
Yeah.
Great playoff picture all around, but for the Steelers in this one, got Tragle out there at quarterback now, got Peon at running back. Mm-hmm. They had a little bit of turnover on offense. Defense has changed throughout the year. What are your thoughts about how they can win this game going against the Crocs?
I think they have to score early and often. The Steelers have to score early and often against the Crocs because the Crocs have the ability to get in these little moments where they hit you, where you've been getting three and outs, and then they hit you. They score. Whether it's Sarkala, whether it's Reddick, whether it's Powell, whether it's Christian scrambling and making a crazy throw downfield or something like that. So I think if the Steelers hit early and often, they also put pressure on the Crocs to respond. And Christian Arabi has been doing a great job leading his team this year, but he's also been sporadic sometimes, and he will take chances that I think sometimes you just can't take, and that's the position you want to put the Crocs in. Which I think if they score early, now you decide how the Crocs use Christian Powell.
Mm-hmm.
Butchers did last year when they scored early. They hit. Now Christian Powell doesn't get the opportunity to touch the ball as much. And I think that's the same thing the Steelers need to do, and that's to try to get on the board early. Main thing, which is every game, win the turnover battle. You got to win the turnover battle. Some kind of way, those DBs and the Steelers have to create some type of turnovers. And then also their offense has to capitalize on it. Get the ball to your playmakers. The big thing, get them to them. Let them get in rhythm. Let them do what they do. They don't get second chances. And I think those are the main.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they definitely, their defense is going to have to. It's going to be the main part is how well their defense plays. And so now, if we go flip side of that, what could they do that might lead them to getting the L instead of a win in this one?
Turnovers. Turnovers. If they cannot, if they create, if not creating turnovers, but if they are giving up turnovers, you're throwing interceptions, things like that. The more chance you give Christian Arabi, he's gonna hurt you. It's just what it is. He's a playmaker, and if you give him more than ample opportunities, he will hurt you. I think the weakest link, which is for a lot of these teams, is the DBs, and it doesn't change with them. It's the DBs. They have to be able to make plays in the red zone and create turnovers and end drives. And if they can't do that, it's going to be a long day for the Steelers defense.
The cornerbacks specifically, right? Like whatever numbers they throw out there for the Crocodiles, for the Steelers. Sorry, not for the Crocodiles. The Steelers have they've been having one of their corners was out the last couple of weeks, right? Hey, if y'all can't hear it, know that Q's daughter has entered the podcast, and she's as cute as could be. She's trying to get a little talk. She's waving to us. Appreciate it. It's always good to have a fan on the screen. But back to what I was saying about the Steelers, they've also had a little bit of shakeup at the secondary position. I think it was Coasty Hodey was hurt, so they had someone else playing at corner. We even seen Austin Brock playing at corner earlier in the season. Going into this game, they're going to have to really step it up on the back end. And just want to throw this out there too. One thing that was crazy last time that this team had played against, who did they play against? I want to say it was the Crocs. It could have been the Crocs, but maybe it was the Roosters. The tackling from their secondary, from the Steelers secondary, it has to be better. If they can't make tackles back there, they're going to be in trouble all game because Christian Paul is a load. And come fourth quarter, he going to give you everything. It's going to be tough for them. But if we were to say X factor, something that the Steelers could do to really change this game, what would you come up with there, Q?
Man, you know what? I was thinking about this all morning, and I say, man, what is the X factor in this game? And it's
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Well, go ahead. I already know it. All right, go ahead.
I don't know. I you know, my X factor in this game, honestly, is Noah Choke. That's my X factor in this game.
Okay.
It's him. It's him. If they can find a way to, and I say this because the Crocs defensive line they go so hard, bro. They go so hard. The only way to back them off is if Noah Choke is getting the ball out the backfield. Because he will hurt them. He will hurt them if that's the case. I mean, if you can get him in the slot and get him the ball, I think that'll be big too. But I think he'll be a matchup problem out the backfield because he's going to be hard to tackle. But their ends come so fast. Those swing routes, you know, anything like the screens, anything like that will be big for them. The way the aggressiveness that Charles O'Connell and Taj bring for the Crocs, that can also hurt them too, because they like that. You know what I'm saying? So as long as Nessie understands the situation and understands that these guys are probably going to get their due, you just got to stay with it. You got to stay with it. It's going to eventually pop. It's going to eventually hit. One thing about aggressive DNs and linebackers is they can't turn it off. They can't turn it off. So it doesn't matter, you know, what plays. And that's why I say you run the screens, because now you take them out of the plays. Yep. Noah Choke, one-on-one with the linebackers, I'm going with Noah Choke all the time. So I think for me, the X factor in this game is Noah Choke. I know it'd be easy to say Brock, but they're going to pay so much attention to Brock. So somebody else has to make those plays. Nicholas Quick, he's been, you know, elevating the last few weeks, and that's what they need. I think a big game from him would be great in this game too, but Noah Choke is my X factor.
Hey, that's a good pick. I like that. I like that because I agree with you 100%. Like, he could be the difference maker because if you look on the other side, you don't really see anybody that matches up with him that can legitimately guard him, no matter if he's at slot, outside, or come out the backfield. He pretty much can do what he wants against that defense. But so I'll try to take the other side here, and let's talk about the Crocodiles, Sunyoki Crocodiles. I want to give a disclaimer. We, as a group, were a little bit disappointed in how the Crocodiles ended the season. So picking the teams that we wanted to talk about was a little tough. But I've had a little bit of time to sleep on it, and now I feel a little bit better about the Crocs going forward. But I do want to say, if I don't sound as excited as it should, it's because we're recording this. We're recording this right after seeing a performance that was not inspiring to us. But the Crocodiles are loaded. They have talent all across the board at almost every position, just like Q said, except for secondary, like every other team in the league. So that's fine. But you gotta look out for the quarterback, Christian R&B. You gotta look out for the running back, CP we trust. Receiving core, I wouldn't say the best receiving core in Finland this year. I wouldn't say the best, but I would say they top three, but they not three. That's what I would say. Top three, but they not three. You got Jacoby Reddick. Yeah, Jacoby Riddick, Yanni Sarkula, Verneri Rhino, and Yoel Sarkula. And the thing is that early in the season, Jacoby Riddick wasn't as involved in the offense. And once he became more of a pillar in their offense, Verneri Rhino just kept showing up. Even in his last game, like that number 11 has been doing his thing.
Yeah.
And then Yanni Sarkula is always Yanni Sarkula.
Oh, hey, before you finish, bro, let me say something.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna apologize to Yanni Sarkula. I'm gonna apologize to Sarkula. And I don't have a problem with Yanni Sarkula at all. But this man has been making some of the most clutch catches in the past few weeks where he literally, like, I've been watching him like, man, he can be a problem. If they really focused on getting him the ball 10 times a game, something like that, he could be a real problem. Matchup wise, there are no matchups. Hey,
I'm glad you say it.
So I got to give him his props. He showed up in a way that surprised me. I know he had the ability to do it, but I just didn't see it enough to where I was like, man, you know what? They got to worry about him. But now he's a problem, and they have to worry about him. They have to. So I just wanted to stop you. My bad for cutting.
Yeah, you're fine. And again, I'm just going to keep talking about the receiver core is that it's an incredible group because you got guys that fit together. You don't have any redundancies. You have very consistent out of the top three guys. They're very consistent with when it comes to route running, catching, getting open, doing what they do well, and they do it consistently. Mostly when it comes to these guys, and even going back to what you said about Yanni not seeing enough, it's more about play calling than anything. Mm-hmm. Like if the play calls aren't what they need, then there's nothing they can do. But if you ever need something from these guys, they always do it. And even Jacoby Riddick has showed, like, early on when they actually started getting him involved, it seemed to be a lot of, short trick plays, forcing him the ball. And the last couple of weeks, you've seen his route tree expand. He's doing more mid routes, running those deep out routes, the comeback routes on the sideline, creating separation with his route running to show you that he is a legit receiver. They have him playing slot, they have him playing outside, and he's able to do it all. And that's something that's going to be – you're going to see that for number 16 in the game. I'm still doing players to watch. I forgot. I got a little bit too much into it. But on the defensive side, I got to say their whole defensive line, Charles O'Connell, Tyge Alston, Felix Natois, and Philip Zakic. Like, it is crazy that they got these four players on the line. And for people that don't know, like, how good this defensive line is, you have four guys who could play in the ELF.
Yeah.
Like, they all will be starters somewhere in the ELF. Like, that's how good all four of them are. And there was a time when Philip Zakic came back, I thought he was like replacing Felix Natois because I didn't see them both playing in like the next couple games or whatever. But apparently he wasn't there to replace him. He was there to add on. And them two together in the middle is crazy. Because, like, it's just not fair to have these guys because you have four guys who can play all four positions. And then I don't know the guys that are on the back side of the defense line, the second string guys, but they're pretty good too. Like they've been able to rotate their backups in without you really noticing a huge drop off outside of those ends, crash to the ball at a crazy speed. And then last two guys that you need to watch out is linebacker Matthias Eriksson, Swedish guy, came over late in the season, made an immediate impact, immediately gave them legitimacy against the run and having someone who can go sideline to sideline and make tackles before he gets to the secondary. So it's really good to have him out there. And then at the backside, Atu Tuoko, number 44, coming into his own young DB. I think he's like second in the league in like passes defended. He has like, I want to say 5 interceptions and like 6 PBUs or something like that. Free roaming safety, but he comes downhill. He makes tackles. He's active in their run game. So all that defense is pretty good from top to bottom. And they have a few weaknesses on the corner spots, obviously, but overall, you're going to see a lot of players making plays for them. So those are the players to watch. If I move on to keys to win for the Crocodiles, I think it's simple. Excuse me, sorry. I think offensively, you got to run the ball effectively, which you can do, and you gotta force the Steelers to put an 8-man box on you. You gotta force them to walk everybody down because one, that's not gonna work because walking everybody down doesn't stop Christian Powell. But two, it gives you the second part of what you need to win, which is you need all those receivers I just previously named to win their matchups. You need them to be in situations where they have a chance to win. And if they have a chance to win, they're going to win those matchups. But if you don't give them that chance, you got nothing. One thing that we said earlier in the season, there was one game where I was saying, you get to the red zone, make sure you throw Yane Sarkala that fade route. Before that game, they hadn't really done that. They got to the red zone and you didn't see a fade. And it's like, okay, you can't do that. You have to give the ball to your playmaker in that situation because he's a threat down there. And since then, they've done better about those situations. I think this is another game where you want to make sure that you make the Steelers play your ball, not the other way around. Don't just take what they give you. Force them to give you what you want. I think if they do that offensively, they'll be fine. They'll be able to put up 28, 35 points in this game anyways. But they do have to stay within themselves. Then on the defensive side, like I said, that defensive line is crazy good, which means having a decent linebacking core and 2 good safeties is all they really need. But defensively, they can't allow any big plays. That's the only thing that's going to hurt them is if they're getting them to 3rd and 10 and somehow end up with a one-on-one on Austin Brock and he gets 60 yards or 70-yard touchdown or something like that. You're like, it's demoralizing and it wasted all your effort. You can't give up those big plays. Let them get the little dink and dunk. I believe, this is again my opinion, I believe the Steelers don't have what it takes to nickel and dime you down the field. I haven't seen them do that yet. And again, if they try to nickel and dime you, it'll take way too long before Kano or Alston end up messing that up for real. So all you got to do is hold them. All you got to do is force them to nickel and dime you, and you'll be fine. Don't give up those big plays. And I think there's going to be a lot on the corners and the safeties because that's where those big plays usually come from. Another thing is don't allow the drives to drag on. And similar thing to not giving up the big plays is don't let them nickel and dime you. I don't think that they can, but it's one of those things that if they are able to keep converting on 3rd down or something, you keep 2 and out and then 3rd and long, you give up just enough for a 1st down, it's demoralizing. And that's the one thing, if they do that, they're keeping the offense off the field. And like we said, if it ever gets to the point that Christian Powell isn't an option, you're not in a situation where you want to be for the Crocodiles. So again, don't let them nickel and dime you and stop the big plays. I mean, that's kind of like perfect defense, but that's what you have to do against this team. I don't think they can nickel and dime you, but you want to get them off the field on 3rd down. Don't let their drives be extended just because, you gave up one big play. Just limit them plays. You'll be all right. Weakest link or a way the Crocs could probably not win this game is the same thing that they have to do to win is that if they give up big plays to the receivers, like you said earlier, if Noah Cho has a big day, Crocs are going to be in trouble. If Austin Brock has a big day, Crocs are going to be in trouble. If Nicholas Quicka, all of a sudden, he's made some hell of catches too, just throwing that out there. I know I'm doing the other team, but if he's able to make some of those big plays against these cornerbacks, it's gonna make this game too hard, too long, and that's not the Croc style. They need to be in the game where they can control it. So for them to maybe lose this game is if the Steelers were able to control the ball and kind of do what they want to do against them. So they have to prevent that. But that's probably the only way that they'll really lose this one. X factor, I think it's very easy for the Crocodiles. Their X factor is that at any point in time, their defensive line could control this game. It could come down to the point that the Steelers can't run because their D-line is too much, or it come down to the point that the Steelers can't pass because the D-line is too much. It could come down to all that. It could be Tragle can't set his feet because it's too much pressure, or Peon can't find any holes because there's too many bodies. Like their defensive line is that versatile and that agile that they could control this game completely. Now, that's kind of like a challenge for the Steelers, though, because you got to sit here and listen to me say that their D line is much better than you and can control you. You got to prove me wrong. But if you don't prove me wrong, that's the X factor. You get into a lot of like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2 situations where the Steelers need just a little bit and they can't get nothing because that Crocs line not letting it happen. I think that. I honestly believe that will be the difference in this game. We're gonna be able to look back and say, man, if they would have just kept this drive going, or if they would have just been able to get just a little bit more here, and into all those plays, you're gonna see either number 1, number 2, number 92, or number 99, or maybe even number 43. One of them 5 players are going to be ending plays a yard or two too short that's going to stop drives for the Steelers. Well, that's what I believe anyway. So, I'm not a prophet. Maybe that's not going to happen, but that's what I believe. Before we move on, initial thoughts about this matchup and how you think it might go.
Man, you know what? With the changes that the Steelers had at quarterback, and how hot they started this season, and just to see how they've been the last part of the season, I'm not discouraged in what they can do. I'm not as discouraged in what Nessie can do. They have the home field game, which is a plus. But then you have the Crocs, who they have J.J. Redick, who can hit you big on special teams. You got Christian Powell, who, is the most non-selfish guy you can have, because he could be demanding the ball and say, put it on me, coach. Let me take us there. But he doesn't. He does whatever the coach calls. He's a team player. And then you got Christian Araby, who young, came in his first year, had a real successful season. Even from us watching him at the podium All-Star game to seeing where he is now and the success that he has, the leadership skills that he has. Seeing Austin Brock come and do what he's been doing, 1,000-yard receiving. This is going to be, I think this is going to be the better of the 2 games. I think this is going to be the better of the 2 games, because I think they both have advantages on both sides of the ball. The Crocs probably have a little more defensive advantage, but the back end doesn't really help them. So this game, I think, is going to be about turnovers, though. I think it's going to be about turnovers. I think whoever has the less turnovers, which isn't always the case, but the team with the less turnovers usually wins. But it's crucial to think of like how this game could go, because you got circulars, you got names on both sides that can open the game up, and you just wonder who's going to hit first. Who's going to hit first? It's going to be loud in Scorpio. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be loud there. So I'm just ready for the game to start, man. I'm just ready to see like let's get to it. The Crocs. I know I said a lot of things about the Crocs over this year, and I do want to see them have some type of success somewhat. But it's like in my mind, and just the fact that I've been in Finland, and been around Finland football so long, it's like these games, they just do not perform well. They just do not perform well, and I hate to say that, but it's the truth. And I can't be biased to it. It's the truth. Like it's either they get past this game and don't perform well, or they don't perform well in this game. So we'll see, man. I'm excited to watch the game either way. I want to see a high intensity game. I want to see 2 teams battling it out. And the winner, coming up at the end, and we going to the next game. But right now, well, we're gonna do the picks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to me, the more I talk about it, like the more I'm a little bit disenfranchised with how great it could be, because I feel like for the Steelers to win, it has to be a certain way. But I feel for the Crocs to win, anything could happen. I'm just randomly envisioning okay, if this game was awesome, what would happen? And I just replay things that have happened in the season. maybe opening kickoff, Jacoby Reddick takes it to the crib.
What
game was that? I remember watching that game and saying right before the kickoff, man, that'd be nice if he just took it to the crib. He took it to the crib. And it was an important game. I don't remember who they were playing, but this is that type of situation. And then I'm thinking also, I'm visualizing again, like there could be a point where Charles O'Connell tips a pass and that either ends a drive that could have been the one, or it turns into an interception, which they've already done that this year. Or maybe he tips it to himself, gets a pick six because he's fast enough to do that. Like those are options. Or it's late in the game, 30 seconds left, Crocodiles in field goal range, but also in Yanni Sarkula fade range, but also they could hand the ball off to Christian Powell. And I'm probably going to ruin this for the Crocodiles when I say this. Whenever they decide to pull out that halfback pass, because that's going to be lit, and it's going to be like an exciting thing. And I can see all this happen because we've seen it all before from the Crocodiles in this situation. And then when I look back on the other side, I'm just like, but some of these Steelers players are just better than the guys on the other side.
Yeah.
Like, I still haven't figured out how they're going to guard Choke. I haven't figured that out, like exactly how you're going to.
They don't have the linebackers to do it.
Yeah,
like I don't. Linebackers to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, you got the Tapala brothers out there, but I don't think either one of them can really stay with him because they're a little bit too tall. He's a low earth guy. And then also on the outside, they don't have anybody that can guard Austin Brock. They just don't. There's just no matchups. And the only issue for him is, can you get him the ball in time? That's an issue. I still believe they don't feature him as well as they should because they use him as a downfield threat. And if you get pressure, you can't get the ball. I still think they need to give him more of some of those choke type, quick screens and stuff like that. But it makes up for a good game because two kind of different playing styles, but that they're both going to be aware of the other, which means they're both going to kind of be playing that chess. Like, I'm not going to do it all now because I know you can do this. So I'm going to do this because I know you can do that. And so it should be an interesting matchup. And I guess when we get into our picks, we'll talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, I'm excited for the weekend for sure. Are you a fan of the American Football in Finland podcast? Show your support in style. Rock our logo proudly on hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and snapbacks, all designed for fans like you. Join us in celebrating American football in Finland. Grab your gear and be a part of the AFF community. Are you looking for a community? Are you an athlete who feels alone in the process of trying to get to the next level? Join Ballers Members, a tribe for athletes in Europe with elite level mindset led by the international legends Alpha Juice Jallo and Jock Crawford. Have a brother right in your backyard. If this is the community you're looking for, DM Ballers Internationals on Instagram at BallersINT. Join Ballers Members today. So, I originally, when it came to this pick'em, I originally thought that, last game of the season, we just stopped the pick'em here with the rankings and stuff. But we have a 3-way tie. So I feel like I guess we have to keep doing the pick'em through the playoffs.
Yeah. Might as well.
Yeah, I guess so. But I had some ideas of some things I want to do. But let me just say it. Tied in first, we have Andy B, Coach Q, and Finland Swami. Because Finland Swami made the move and went for the Royals.
Yeah,
that was the move. I know he did it for that specific reason. He's like, I'm going to make my move right now, all or nothing.
Nobody knew that.
Nobody.
Ambro wasn't playing.
Yeah, he had to just go off saying, "Hey, I know it's gonna happen." But you three are 35-7, and then tied behind you is Chris Green and Coach Mike at 34-8, and then we have Jamal Clay at 32-10, and in last, or tied for last, is me and Ellie at 28-14. It's going well though. I feel like it's pretty good pick'ems considering.
Yeah.
Me and Ellie would be just kind of picking, so I ain't worried about that. But again, if we've already discussed these playoff games, so we'll briefly talk about who we picked and why. And you can see our picks on Instagram at American Football in Finland, where you can make your comments. So, Q, first game, Roosters versus Butchers. Who you going with and why?
I'm not gonna waste y'all time. Y'all already know who I'm going with. I'm going with the Roosters, man. I'm going with the Roosters. The reason why is because the Roosters pretty much own the Butchers as of late. So I beat them. They'll beat them again this year. I mean, I just think they are in the zone of we won another championship, and I don't think the Butchers have what it takes to stop them. And the Butchers have the guys to do it. But like I said, and I went back to you have to practice winning habits. And playing in the system is not a winning habit. What it is, it's just not. There's no confidence right now in what the Butchers can do. There's no confidence in it. Zach Wright, Mickey, yes, these guys are great. Brandon Gwynn is great in his own right. But you're playing against a team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes. You're playing against a defensive coordinator who isn't going to put his team in too many bad positions defensively. And you're also playing against a head coach with the Roosters who have been in this game previous times. He's pretty much probably watched film all week. They know exactly everything the Butchers can and can't do. And you're also going against a running back in Ethan Greenfield, who's been probably one of the most productive running backs this year. And he just had a game off. So I'm going with the Roosters. I just cut it off. I got some old friends and 69er guys that are still a part of the Portville Butchers, and I wish them much success, but they haven't been looking great this year, and I'm just not going to go with them on this one.
All right, second game. We got Steelers versus Crocs. What are you thinking and why?
This isn't hard either. I'm going with the Steelers. The reason why is because I believe Nessie. I believe Austin Brock. I believe in Noah Choate. I believe in Jamarcus Henderson, Carlton Marshall. I believe in Corpio more than I believe in the San Diego Crocodiles.
Damn.
And that's exactly why I'm going with the Steelers.
Damn. Gosh. Okay. No belief.
No belief.
Okay. All right. I ain't mad at that. So for me, I'm going with the Roosters. I want to go with the Butchers. Like, in my heart of heart, I want the Butchers to play to the Butchers level. But also, I feel like I've picked against the Roosters a couple of times, just hoping the other team would win. And at some point, I got to just stop acting like I don't know what it is. You said it right. Like, a team that plays good all the time. That's how they've played all year. You know what you're going to get from them. You know the quarterback isn't going to turn over the ball. That's first of all, the number one thing about any good team is a quarterback who doesn't turn over the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't turn over the ball, you have more possessions to score. Mm-hmm. And you give the other team less possessions to score. And then you look at the second thing is that they create turnovers. The defense is good. They create turnovers, but they get off the field. So those are two things that are very consistent from this team. And then you look on the other side at the Butchers, and you're looking at a team that I think their defense has been really good this year. It has been really good. I would say their defense is better than the Roosters' defense. Mm. But I tell you what their defense can't do. They can't score points for their offense enough. And they get into situations where they're playing more defense than they want to. Mm-hmm. When you do that, it's fatigue. They give up a certain amount of points. They lose games where they only give up 20 points. Well, I don't think you've seen the Roosters lose a game where they only lost one game, but
yeah, they definitely won by 20.
Yeah, like they're not giving. If they're giving up 20 points, they putting up 60. Like they're not. It's never going to be that close. Like all these like 14 or 21 games for the Roosters when they're playing their backups. You know, that's when their offense isn't putting up a whole bunch of points to help the defense. Like they're playing complementary football. The Butchers this year, opposite of what they did last year, which keep talking about last year because that's what we're going off of with them is last year down the stretch, their offense was clicking. They're putting up 40 a week. Defense giving up 30. They still winning. This year, that offense is up and down. And let's really be honest. The only teams they actually did well against were the teams that aren't played. Yeah. And in the last game of the season, when they played against a playoff team, you saw the playoff team wasn't taking it very seriously. And some people might be excited about, their kicker made 3 field goals. All I see is 3 opportunities to score touchdowns that turned into kicks, like 3 drives that stalled.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, you're not going to beat the Roosters with field goals. Like, the Roosters don't kick field goals. They score touchdowns. Like, it is what it is. On 4th and 3, they're going for it. Actually could make it, but they're going for it because that's the type of team they are. They're a championship caliber team. I wish the Butchers were a championship caliber team this year. Like the last year team, I mean, they won. They probably should have rode off in the sunset with that squad because they came back, and I don't think they know how to play without that chip on their shoulder.
But we said that though. We said that we said that early in the year. Like it's almost nearly impossible to repeat what you just did. You know what I'm saying? It's too many factors, too many people, too many hands in the pot of what the team should do. So the Butchers are just, I don't know what it's been. I really don't know what it's been. I've been thinking all year, like, why are they not playing consistently every game?
Yeah. And you look at it. I know some people are going to get, now that the season's over, some people will get heavy into like the stats. Look at all their stats. Look at their stats against good teams. It ain't there. Like they stat pad against the bad teams to make the overall stats look good, but ultimately when they play those good teams, their top players don't show up. Their offense is not there. Their defense still is playing well all year. And I think their defense will play well. They will limit Ethan Greenfield. They will slow down Nunnally. I think they can do that. But will they do it enough that they can score against that defense? No, I don't think so. So going with the
Bryce Nunnally, we didn't even mention him in players to watch. I didn't mention Bryce Nunnally purposely because ain't nothing they're going to be able to do with him anyway. I don't think. I mean, Rod Sylvester can only guard one person. Zach Wright can only help out one DB. So it's the Roosters just have a lot to deal with, and the Butchers just they have a corner. The corner that just played this last game. I don't know if he was 23 or
23.
Oh my Lord! If he's playing, and I hate to put him on the spot, but they abused him this last game. So they got to do something about that because they're not going to play against like that.
That's the thing is I don't think it's going to come down to the Butchers' defense. Like we've said it before. Like
No, I don't think so.
If they give up 21 points, you're not like, oh, their defense is horrible. Yeah. But if they give up 20 points, they could lose the game.
Yeah,
because you don't trust that they're going to score 21 points, and that's bad. This is the Big 12 Maple League, man. It's 35 or up. I just looked at the stats. This is unnecessary shade. The Loyal Crusaders, they finished the season giving up a 52-point average, a 50-burger average. They gave up 600-something points on the season. So, like, scoring is possible. And the fact that the Butchers, we don't have any belief that they're going to score. With that much talent on offense, they should be able to score 28 points against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But we do not believe that. Like, I do not believe they're going to score 28 points in this game. If they prove me wrong, it still won't be enough because the Roosters will score 29. But that's just how I feel about it. But going to the second game, I'm still talking about this first one. Second game, who is the second game? I forget who's playing it. Steelers versus Crocodiles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I'm going for the Crocodiles because I believe in Chris R&B Day. I believe in Christian Paul. I believe in Jacoby Riddick. I believe in Yane Sarkula. I believe in Miguel Mackinnon playing on the O-line. I believe in Tuomas, I can't say your last name, H. Phelps playing on the offensive line. I believe in Charles Acano, Taj Alston, Philip Zakic, Felix Natois. I believe in both the Tapler brothers. I believe in Matthias Erickson. I believe in Atu Tuoku. Shoot, I believe in Seydou Diallo coming from the backup at running back sometimes. I believe in Etu, Macamanis the kicker. If it come down to it, I believe that these guys will do what it takes to beat the Steelers of all teams. I believe that the Crocodiles go into this game saying, we deserve to be in the championship. The Steelers are in our way. That's it. For the Steelers, this game is, it's a new team, new culture. It's not the same dynasty squad. Like, this team isn't built around those players anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is a different team trying to start something. For them, this season has been a huge success because going into the season, it was a lot of unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on paper, they did look really good before the season, but not we all, you were with them, but everyone else was like, yeah, but we haven't seen them play. And they proved us wrong. They played well together. They had a great season. But for them, if they lose this game, it's still a success. For the Crocs,
Ooh.
look, and here's the crazy part about it. Charles Acano, Jacoby Reddick, Christian Armbide, Taj Alston, they got no reason. They got no reason to be like, we have to win. Like, this is our legacy. They were on the wrong team last year. But they all are a major part of what they have to do to win. And I believe that everyone around them, they're going to be walking around in practice and going to the locker room this week, and they're going to be like, why is it so why is the mood like this? Why is it like this? Yeah. And in my opinion, that's going to get them more focused because those other guys, they probably had a great time. Crocodile Sinioki organization, if you've ever been around there, go hang out for a weekend in Sinioki. They do it right. They're good people.
Yeah.
They treat you right. You feel part of the family, but they know that if they don't win this game, it's an immediate, okay, we got to start from scratch because this just ain't work it's an immediate, like, we need to do something totally different. But there's enough people on that team that know what it felt like last year that when they see this game come up, they're thinking, we taking no chances. There'll be no false steps. There'll be no, I don't want to speak too much out of turn, but there'll be no partying this weekend. Like, if we win, we're not even going to party after it. We're going to be like, okay, let's get to the championship now. Like, I feel like that's the vibe.
Yeah, they can't even celebrate it. They can't even celebrate this. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if the Steelers win this game, the stadium is going to even up. You're going to see some fans there. Everybody going to be in line. If the Crocodiles win this game, they watching film on the bus on the way back. Most likely on the Roosters. That's neither here nor there. But they watching film on the way back. Like, that's where they're at in this game. So I believe in the San Diego Crocodiles.
Okay. I like that. I like. Hey, you hit it. You got me. You got me.
Hey, we're good. We're good.
Hey, I'm sticking with my boy Nessie. I'm sticking with Austin Brock. Like I said, Nessie is overcame some. I mean, you lost Zach Taylor.
You're not wrong to not believe in the Crocodiles.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't believe in the Crocodiles, I would understand.
And mine speaking off of history. I ain't even.
You're going off of history.
I'm not even going off of like who they have right now because who they have right now are well capable of winning this game. I just think it's beyond their control.
You think it's one of those things where it don't matter what they do. The football gods have said this ain't it for you.
I don't know who messed with the football guys in San Diego, but it is not raining on them at all.
Here's my rebuttal to that. It's like, I'm kind of with you with the Crocodiles. Like, yeah, they probably don't win the Maple Bowl, but I also believe the football gods are like, we're gonna torture you with years of second place. We're not gonna let you not get there. We're gonna get your hopes up over and over and over, and then just. So I mean, I believe they can win this game, and even if they do win the game, like we said before the season, that's not even an accomplishment for the organization. They know how to win and get to the Maple Bowl. But I do think that they're going to be the team on top. But again, this is going to be a close game. I think this is one of those games where it could come down to like a team missing an extra point or something. And then us being at the end of the week being like, these dudes can't make extra points or something. Or they're kicking field goals when they should be scoring touchdowns. Like, I think it's going to be that close of the game for sure. I don't think it'll be a blowout. Like you said, I think this will be the better of the two games.
Yeah.
Definitely be the better one. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. All right, that is it for this episode of American Football in Finland. Any last word before we get out of here, kid?
No, we said it all, man. I think we said it all. Good luck to the guys all the teams that are fighting, man, to get to the championship. I know we hard on them, but that's our job. That's what we do, man. It's like we're not experts, but we're just giving our honest opinion. It don't mean that it's just right or it's wrong or anything. It's just how we feel and the perspective that we go off of. Us being around this thing for a long time and seeing just great games throughout the years. It's been a great experience, man. It's nice to talk about these guys. I wish nothing but the best for all of them, and I really mean that.
Yeah, I agree. It's been good. I know our schedule has been a little tight because there's the flag championships coming up, so we probably won't have a review on the last week episode. So that's probably never going to happen, but we will have something of a review on the season. Probably before the Maple Bowl, we'll throw in some videos and do some talking on the actual season so people can get our opinions on some things that happened this year outside of just these playoff games. Because a lot happened in the season, and we're going to bring it back too. But for this weekend, good luck to all the teams, and we'll see you next week right here on the AFF podcast. Make sure to subscribe, follow, like, and share on all social media channels. Until next time, never forget
T.
I.
Can you say F?
We go. Good job.
There we go.